Hello everyone, and welcome back to Secrets Behind the Stars. Settle in, because what we're unpacking today has set timelines on fire and turned whispers into a chorus. The conversation revolves around the unexpected, breath-stealing suggestion that Ibrahim Ceyhan and Sıla Türkoğlu have quietly been nurturing something far more intimate than the public ever knew. Those two, admired and watched by millions, are suddenly at the center of a revelation that feels both overdue and shockingly bold. If you adore them or simply love following every nuanced shift in celebrity lives, you are in the perfect place. And yes, before we dive deep, remember to show your support to Secrets Behind the Stars and stay tuned so none of these juicy twists pass you by. It landed like thunder across the entertainment world. Two of the most recognizable talents of their generation, each commanding their own lane, apparently chose to guard their bond in silence for a long stretch of time. Now, in a matter of days, the conversation has burst open. Those who crave the tiny, telling details are feasting: timelines, candid shots, old clips revisited under a new light. There's so much to parse that even the skeptics are rewatching, rewinding, and reconsidering. For years, fans speculated. For years, insiders hinted. For years, looks lingered a beat too long and compliments felt just a touch too personal. Why the secrecy? What made them build a private world and bolt the door so tightly? Those questions finally have some shape, even if not every answer is formal or on the record. To appreciate how big this feels, you have to remember who they are. Halil Ibrahim Ceyhan carries himself with that understated poise that draws people in without making noise. He can be reserved in public, the kind who keeps the camera at a respectful distance, letting the work speak for him. His interviews are careful, never frivolous, and yet when he laughs, it feels disarming. Sıla Türkoğlu, meanwhile, is the definition of controlled mystique: poised, selective, elegant. She shares just enough to be relatable and never enough to be overexposed. Together, that combination, two figures who embody restraint, made any rumor of romantic chemistry irresistible to fans. And now, here we are, navigating the possibility that what seemed like a spark long ago never went out. The talk of in-time moments, those delicate fragments that feel private even when glimpsed from afar, has turned everyone's attention to the chronology. By most accounts, what ties Halil and Sıla together is not new. The suggestion is that it grew steadily, in careful increments, in the quiet pockets of time where the world looked elsewhere. Shared rides to a set under the guise of separate schedules. A late-night coffee in a quiet corner of Istanbul, when the city's lights were softer and the noise less demanding. A series of discrete trips that read as work until you study the timing, the backgrounds, the slipstream of clues left in their wake. What were once mere coincidences now collect into a pattern that seems deliberate, tender, and orchestrated. The real fascination, though, is how they outwitted the spotlight. In a time when a casual glance can become a headline, maintaining a hush-hush bond requires planning and patience. Was there a tight inner circle that knew and said nothing? Probably. Did they stagger their entrances and exits, plant decoys, or use different cars? People who claim proximity point to small strategies. Booking under neutral names, choosing familiar restaurants where staff kept phones in pockets, slipping into the same event at staggered times so their paths never officially overlapped on the record. It's plausible, and it tracks with their personalities: careful, respectful, mindful of how much the public believes it owns them. Yet over and over, you hear that what really guarded their secret wasn't trickery, it was trust. A few loyal friends. Families that understood the value of privacy. An agreement that the sanctity of their personal lives came first. The origin story threads back to a shared world both public and personal. Some say the first spark ignited on a set where long hours blur the lines between scene and reality. Others point to a quieter starting place, like a rehearsal or a camera test that ran late into the evening, when the work was done and the small talk suddenly wasn't small anymore. The earliest chatter painted them as supportive colleagues, the best kind of friends. Two pros calibrating each other's performances, swapping ideas, trading notes about scenes and scripts. Yet people who've watched them up close insist there was always an extra current there. Not a spectacle. Not a showman's. Something sincere, a look that lingered, a gentle protectiveness in crowded rooms, a comfort that asserted itself even in silence. And then there are the details of their connection that ring true to anyone who believes in a love that grows quietly. The late-night calls that stretch beyond fatigue because you don't want to be the one to say goodbye first. The shared values, the promise to lift each other up when the industry storms roll in. Soft encouragements before big days, the way one would seemingly brighten whenever the other's name came up in conversation. Rumor insists that during the heaviest moments. Career decisions, the strain of fan scrutiny, personal crossroads, they were each other's anchor. She, known for her composure, allowing herself to lean. He, known for steady calm, letting himself be seen. That kind of reciprocity is rare, and it's the part fans gravitate to most, the human, reachable piece of a story too often discussed like a headline instead of a heartbeat. Of course, the internet has done what it always does. As soon as this wave hit, comment sections became confessionals. Some fans celebrated with unabashed glee, typing out long messages about how long they've sensed the pull between Halil and Sıla. Others admitted surprise, but a warm surprise, the kind that feels like an overdue resolution to a cliffhanger. The tone, overwhelmingly, has been affectionate. You can call it adoration or relief, but it's unmistakable. People want to see them happy, and they want to believe that somewhere behind the polish and the press, there is a pair of hearts choosing each other over and over. What does this mean for their careers? Realistically, it will keep the lens trained on them with even more intensity. There will be a scramble to place them together on carpets, to ask leading questions, to frame every new role through the prism of their connection. Yet there's an upside that can't be ignored. If they really have reached a place where the truth can breathe, that freedom might be transformative. The energy they used to spend dodging speculation can be reclaimed for the work. The pressure to perform distance can be lifted. That kind of authenticity shows up on screen in ways even the best PR can't manufacture. We keep circling back to the hiding, not because secrecy is the point, but because it reveals their priorities. It appears they were meticulous, but not deceitful. Quiet, but not evasive. They safeguarded something fragile long enough for it to grow strong roots. There are stories, which no one will confirm on record, of course, of clandestine gatherings organized with the precision of a film schedule. Friends hosting small dinners where phones stayed in pockets, drivers taking the long way around to avoid familiar choke points, meetings timed to the minute. Even the simplest measures matter. A hat pulled low, a shared umbrella that looks impersonal from a distance, a quick goodnight said from different doors. Why share more now, even if it's just through a series of telling hints rather than an outright press statement? Timing. That's the prevailing theory. A phase of life clicks into a new gear. Projects lock in. The personal landscape shifts as families, friends, and teams become comfortable with something that no longer feels new. There's also the possibility that they were simply tired of letting rumor define them. Perhaps they chose to let a few breadcrumbs fall, not to taunt the public, but to reclaim the narrative on their own terms. Look closely at the past few months and the signals come into focus. A photo posted from a cozy room, and weeks later another photo from a different angle reveals the same lamp tucked in the corner. A song captioned by one finds its echo in the other's story days later. Wardrobe choices that rhyme, event arrivals that never intersect but land within the same quarter hour. A glance exchanged during a panel that felt charged even in the bleached light of a stage. It could all be coincidence, it could also be intention dressed in subtlety. In hindsight, the puzzle pieces practically beg to be fitted together. What emerges from the narrative, rumored, speculated, soft confirmed through context if not press release, is a bond that feels grounded. Not a trend. Not a transient thrill. Something that values privacy without confusing it for shame. Something that trusts pace over performance. The way their supporters describe it, the relationship rests on easy companionship and durable respect. They know when to give each other space. They know when to step closer. They protect each other's reputations by not feeding what doesn't deserve feeding and by speaking up for what does. If anything, This chapter is a reminder that love can grow in places where the noise is loudest, provided the people involved learn how to hear each other over the din. It's also a reminder that celebrities don't owe the world a tell-all to make their feelings valid. Sometimes small gestures say enough. Sometimes a carefully timed truth, even one wrapped in plausible deniability, is the most candid confession you'll ever get. So here we are, at the end of a tour through a revelation that landed softly but shook the ground anyway. We traced their steps through private choices and public moments, through the art of deflecting and the grace of finally allowing in a little light. We listened to fan reactions that ranged from "I knew it" to "I can't believe it" to "I just hope they're happy." We weighed what this might mean for their futures and came away with a simple hope. That whatever they decide to share next, it will be on their timeline, not ours. To those who followed this with us today on Secrets Behind the Stars, thank you for the company. Tell us what you noticed before the rest of the world caught on. Did you spot the matching background? The mirroring captions? The quiet pride in each other's milestones? Share your thoughts, your theories, your kind wishes. And if you want more stories told with care and curiosity, you know where to find us. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep your eyes open for the details that reveal the heart of the story, because with Halil, Ibrahim, Ceyhan, and Sıla Turkoğlu, the smallest details have always said the most.